And so, today marks the close of winter in Animal Crossing. All the snow is melting and people are rejoicing, and I figure, what better time than to talk about the evolution of snowmen throughout the Animal Crossing games. Because they weren't always the Snowboy that you either know and love today, or I hear quite a bit of hate at making snowmen. Can't really blame people when you have a fully decorated island. It's pretty annoying to roll them. Snowmen. You could say my early relationship with them was complicated. Back in the good old days of GameCube, when I was just a wee little 5-year-old, I think I only ever got around to making one, because for some reason OG Animal Crossing was like, you don't need those snowballs to be close together in this ginormous map. Anyway, in my time playing as a wee little tyke, I only ever got around to making one snowman, and knowing my littleness, I probably made it wrong. And it probably told me I sucked at life and everything. So, yeah, but you know, as an Arizona kid, being able to make a snowman, even if it's virtual, is probably pretty legit. I probably enjoyed it. Like, I literally have a mental image right now of building it in the little nook by the cliff. So, that one snowman I built stuck with me. But oh boy, come Wild World, I was now 8 or 10, and I was ready to build some snowmen. I got the formula down, not really. I made tons and tons of snowmen because I liked it. Probably not. Probably more likely because I was bad at it, and I kept making barely bad snowmen. So it took a lot. I made them a lot to get all the furniture to maybe slide by with 13 perfect ones in all that time. In fact, I made so many bad snowmen in Wild World that I basically have the bad snowman dialogue memorized more so than the perfect snowman dialogue. So, you know, let's give a little shout out to the persistence of 10-year-olds, right? Snowmen throughout the first 3 games stayed relatively similar. You know, you would take your 2 balls, roll them together, and if you got that snowman perfect, he would send you a piece of the Snowman series the next day in the mail. Items from the Snowman series sell for $8,888. Not only is that a pretty good amount for winter when there's not a lot of bugs or fish out, it's also a bunch of little snowmen. 8s are just kind of like little snowmen, so 8888. It's all just little snowmen. Overall, the Snowman series, I feel like it fits perfectly in with GameCube, and I love it, and I loved it back in the day in Wild World. By City Folk, it was getting kind of old, though. I would say the main difference between the 3 games is that in the first one you can destroy the snowmen, which is honestly really awesome and cool and so fun. In all honesty, I almost want to build them just to destroy them, not for the actual item. And also their looks are a little bit different. You know, the first 2 games are a little more polygony, but then you go to City Folk and they're like super perfect circles. Which they go on to be perfect circles in the next 2 games now that the technology has reached that point. Kind of miss those lumpy days. They're so cute. Also, the way they shrink is like a sight to behold across the 3 games. In GameCube, you can barely notice they're shrinking. In fact, I didn't think they were shrinking until I looked at the footage and I was like, oh, they are getting smaller. It's just not enough to be noticeable between days. But over the course of 3 days, they shrink until the 4th day they're gone. And all 3 early snowmen are this way. So they have 3 days on the planet and then they're on the 4th. Anyway, the GameCube shrinking looks the best to me. The size they end on, pretty good. But the shrinking in Wild World and City Folk is, oh my goodness. It's very noticeable in Wild World, but in Wild World the proportions are all kind of weird, so it's not super weird seeing them shrink. I think the last day they look a bit ridiculous with how tiny they are, but oh my gosh, City Folk. City Folk kills me because the first day you make it, it's ginormous. The snowman looks bigger than it looks in any other game. And then by the very end is this just tiny little peanut on the ground. It's so flippin' hilarious. And they're all smooth and everything, so it kills me. It kills me so much seeing these dumb little City Folk peanut snowmen all around after they were such giants. So like only for a day, the City Folk snowman looks normal. Another unique thing about City Folk, they were kind of like the predecessors to New Horizons Snowmen when it comes to how annoying they were to make, because your ground decays in City Folk. So if you've been playing the game for a while, a lot of your snow could be gone, making them a huge pain in the butt to make, if even possible. Just like in Horizons, if your island is overly decorated, overly pathed, or anything like that, it's gonna be a big pain in the butt to make a snowman. And when it comes to the personality that shines through on the dialogue, all three games are pretty similar. Like, they change the dialogue in every game, but the personality notes that come through are the same. From what I could tell, there's 4 different degrees of making it that determine what the dialogue will be. There's the perfect snowman, then there's the, like, so close snowman, then there's the dialogue for the, like, not really close, but it doesn't look too bad snowman. Then there's the dialogue for, like, you went out of your way to make a bad snowman. Oh, and have I mentioned that if you make them wrong, they're brutal. Like, they let you know that you did wrong, and then they're super depressed about it. You know, them being all focused on their appearance, they'll tell you that they, like, think no one will ever love them, and things like that, and just make you feel like a horrible person for making them do them wrong. I know as a kid, I would barely make them wrong all the time, and I would feel so bad about it. And the funny thing is, even though there's these 4 types, their, like, personality rings true across all of them. 1, they are all very, very vain. And 2, they are all very lonely. They're lonely. Oh, and being cold. They talk about being cold a lot, too. Yeah, the vanity is amazing. They always talk about how either ugly they are and how everyone knows they're ugly, and, like, they're very self-conscious if you make a bad one about how ugly they are. But if you make a perfect one, they, like, talk about how perfect they are and how they could get any lady in the room if there were any ladies, or things like that. And speaking of ladies, yeah, they are some lonely mofos. Whether you make a perfect one or a hideous one, they're always talking about how they would love to have a snow lady or a snow family. It's really cute, but also really sad. Like, as a 10-year-old kid, I tried to please the snowman. I kept making him snowman after snowman right next to him. I'm like, look, you have a family now. And he was like, oh, if only I had a family. Which makes New Leaf all the more fun, because ba-bam, they got Snowman a family! In New Leaf, there are 4 different snowmen you can make as part of this little snowman family. There's Snowman, Snowmam, Snowboy, and Snowtyke. Which member of the Snowman family entirely depends on how big the bottom snowball is, so you can make the smallest one and then give it a giant head and it'll still be a snow baby. And for this section of the video, I'm also going to be making a set of nesting dolls from New Leaf. They're so cute and I love them so much, and you get them from Snowtyke. I always wanted a real life one, so I'm using this video as an opportunity to make one. And it just showcases each of the family members. Unfortunately, I can't get, like, an actual snowman shape in these dolls, so I just got the closest I could get, which is this. So that won't be perfect, but good enough for me. The fun thing about all 4 of these family members is that they offer different prizes, and they have different ways of going about those prizes. So Snowman, which is this lovely fellow here with the mustachio and the top hat, and I'm assuming he is the snowman from earlier games, and he grew up and got himself a top hat and a mustache, and now he has a family, which is very nice. And, like, how sweet is that? Character development right there for the snowman. He got himself a family, what he always dreamed of. So to get items from Snowman, you have to make him perfectly, of course, and then he plays bingo with you. His little 0 eyes spin and get set to a number, and then you punch it out on the bingo card. Once you get a bingo, you bring the card back to him, and he trades it in for one of his items, and his items are really dumb. They're just kind of snow sport themed. In fact, none of them made it back to New Horizons except for the skis, and honestly makes sense. It's kind of dumb, all the items. You can probably pop out bingos pretty fast if you get 4 of these in your town at a time. Every day you get to spin the eyes to get closer on your bingo journey. So next in size is Snowboy, the heir to Snowman. And Snowboy does the exact same thing Snowman did in previous games, which is you build him. If you do it perfectly, he gives you an item from the Snowman series. So, kind of boring, but glad they kept the tradition going. It's like Snowman passed the mantle on to his Snowboy, which is kind of cute. One thing Snowman did not pass on to Snowboy, though, is the lonely attitude. Or, like, you know, being obsessed with him, how he looks. Yeah, this snowman has a much brighter outlook on life, if you make him perfectly, that is. In fact, all the snowmen are pretty happy in the Snowman family these days, especially compared to old Snowman. The only way you're gonna get a less than thrilled snowman is if you make a deformed one. Then there's Snowman, presumably Snowman's wife, if snowmen can get married and have children and things like that. Anyway, her place in the family, you build her. She's the size between Snowboy and Snowtyke. When you build her, her request is just that you bring her 5 snowflakes. So it's like the snowflakes in New Horizons now, where you catch them, but instead of crafting with them, you bring them to her, and she gives you one of the items from the Ice series. I think these are the best items you can get from the snowman. They're so pretty, and it's also not bad getting them. You build a snowman, and then you collect snowflakes. You see them around, you just swipe at them, bring them to her. It is annoying because they don't stack, but besides that, good time. The one person in the Snowman family that I would want to, like, go for dupes with, because all the other ones, like, the items don't look that good, or in the case of Snowtyke, who does have good items, they're just so hard to get, it's almost not worth it. And it's nice, because you only have to make one Snowman, and then you could get all the items that day from Snowman. That's how awesome she is. Generous soul. And then, of course, there's the little baby of the family, Snowtyke, and this mofo. He has demands, and the demands are great. So, if you do make him perfectly, in order to get an item from him, you have to make his entire family. And yeah, it's a chore. The biggest problem with making an entire family is Snowboy and Snowman and Snowtyke. Sometimes, like, it takes a while to get the process down and be able to get all the sizes right. A good chunk of the time you're like, all right, I'm going for Snowboy. And then you just stop a little too short and you end up with a snowman, and then that's your second snowman, and like, shoot. Now you won't be able to get the family reunited before Snowtyke melts, so you gotta waste another day on a Snowtyke. Your best course of action is to make the entire family, then make Snowtyke. But then you accidentally make Snowtyke a little bit too big, and you get a snowman. The New Leaf Snowmen are definitely a challenge, because now not only do you have the level of making them all perfectly, which honestly isn't too bad, you just take the right size and make the next one a little bit smaller. As long as it isn't horribly bad, most of the time you're going to get it perfect. But yeah, every item you get from Snowtyke takes 4 days to get. And that also means that snowmen take 4 days to melt so that you can get the entire family together now. Which is good for the bingo game, because then you get 4 numbers punched. And you get 4 days to catch all the snowflakes you want. And for Snowboy, like, there's no benefit to having him around longer. And then on top of that, this is kind of funny, with the Snowtyke items, he gives you different items relating to how many perfect snowmen are in the town. If all the snowmen are perfect, you get the snowman nesting dolls, which is, as you can see, I'm making right now. If you get 2 others perfect besides himself, then you get a snow bunny, which is like, they're bringing it back from GameCube, which I talked about the igloos a couple weeks ago. Snow bunny was an item you got from there, so it's fun to see them bring that back. The next one is a snow igloo, which mirrors the igloo model from GameCube. Also cute that they're bringing that forward. So that's only if you make 1 snowman right besides him, and then if you only get him right, but you make the rest of his family, then he'll give you the sleigh, which was another igloo item in GameCube, but they've had it in Wild World and City Folk too. It just wasn't a special item. You just got it from Nooks. So yeah, that's the whole snow family, the complicated snow family. I love it so much. It's so fun. It's very complicated. If you're gonna get all the snowman items in one winter, you gotta be a dedicated player. You gotta have a game plan and you gotta go for it. This is not something that just magically happens. So I feel like most people probably just picked the series that they liked and went for that instead of going all out and trying to get all the snowman stuff in one winter. It is fun having that variety. It's too bad that didn't go forward to New Horizons. I'm assuming they planned it, but it just never got to the point of being able to finish it. It is a lot of items to make. They already made so many ice items, and then they got to come up with items for 3 other snowmen. So next game, hopefully, we'll see the return of the snow family. And with the snow family in New Horizons, I feel like the snowmen take a turn in personality. They definitely, like, freak out at you if you make them wrong, but I do feel like they're less focused on their appearances, and none of them talk about loneliness, which is nice. All in all, their dialogue mostly focuses on their goals, how you use them. Like the dad talks about bingo, the mom talks about snowflakes, the snow tyke talks about getting his family back together. Major personality shift there. In New Leaf, they do introduce the melting mechanic instead of just shrinking, so they become this like sad little blob on the ground. Poor little snow guys, but definitely more realistic than the tiny little bean. Along with the melting, the dialogue evolves over the days. So before you made it, and you would get a unique piece of dialogue for making it, and then it would say the same things no matter what day you talk to it. So it's kind of fun seeing them like talk about how they're melting and going away from the world and things like that, and that's their last day, but they're okay with it. It's nice knowing that they acknowledge that they aren't the same snowman they were the day they were made. And on to New Horizons. The only member of the family that continues to exist is, of course, Snowboy. Snowman is gone, Snowmam is gone, and Snow Tyke are all gone. Most of you probably know what goes down in New Horizons. You build a perfect Snowboy. He's like, bravo, bravo, as he does in all the other games. And then he gives you a DIY recipe for an item from the Frozen series. Then he gives you a large snowflake. Using that large snowflake, you can craft one item. Each of the items just take one large snowflake, but then you also need to catch snowflakes. I feel like he's this weird mix of a bunch of things. So there's like the catching snowflakes, which Snowman had, and then there's the giving of the item, which Snowboy had. Snowman and Snow Tyke, there's no similarities. But once he runs out of DIY recipes to give you, he just gives you the one large snowflake a day. And yeah, you can come back every day. They last 4 days, so you get 4 large snowflakes from one Snowboy, which is pretty sweet, pretty tight. You make 4 items per each one you make, assuming you go out there and catch a heck ton of snowflakes. And big shout out to New Horizons Snowboy, because I think he gives the best items out of all the snowmen in all of time. This lovely Frozen series. Like, I liked the Ice series previously, but a lot of it was bedroom items, and I wouldn't mind seeing it return, but with how much outdoor space there is to decorate, I'd rather have items that work outdoors in New Horizons than bedroom sets. It's just fun being able to make an ice palace with all the stuff. And it's nice that even after the snowmen are gone, you can keep crafting the items if you so choose. Especially with it being outside, you can go through a lot of items fast. And you do not want to store that many items, thinking maybe one day I'll use my ice items, my frozen items. Too many. It's nice being able to store the snowflakes and craft them when you need that specific item. And I have enjoyed them so much that I have made 2 different ice palaces. There's one in my original town, and then recently on stream, we made this one for Queen Tutu. It's not quite done. We're only 2 months into this town, so I'm lacking in a lot of items. So basically all I had was the ice items, because I've been focusing on making that Snowboy every day. And the funny thing is, the drastic change in dialogue continues through New Horizons. Like, it is even more so. Like, when you make one intentionally messed up, like the first day they're kind of annoyed about it, but the second day they like come to terms with it. I mean, they're still focused on their appearance somewhat, but a lot of it leans more towards logistics of it. Like this one being concerned that his body won't support his head, or this other one being concerned that his head will melt before his body. I just love it. It's so funny. Anyway, the snowmen just fascinate me. I would love to get more into depth about their dialogue and their personalities and things, but there just wasn't enough time this week to do that. So I think we're going to be revisiting the snowmen at the end of this year in December when they return. We'll, have some fun on stream messing around, making horrendously awful ones and, decent ones and all that, and just get to know the snowmen in and out, and then I'll make a video about all there is to know about snowmen and their personalities. They are quite the quirky crew. And here are the finished nesting dolls. They crack me up. I love them so much. I do wish they were more snowman shaped. And I think I'll switch out the pom-pom for Snowman eventually. Want a cleaner looking one. And also Snowman's hat could be more cone shaped, but that was too much work. I'm not gonna bother with that. Anyway, Every time I look at them, I just want to laugh. They're so hilarious, especially Snowman. Oh my gosh, and Snow Tyke, he's so cute. Turned out way better than I thought they would. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be doing a bunch of circles. This is going to be bad, but it's actually pretty good, honestly. Good job, Shermie. Pat on the back for you. Thank you so much for watching. I'm glad you can make it till the end, and I'll see you next Friday or any weekday on stream. Until then, I hope you have the loveliest of lovely day. Bye-bye.